Welcome to You Are Not Alone. This is a safe place to explore all things spiritual and beyond. I am spiritual medium Erica Gabriel. Hello, friends. Welcome back to You Are Not Alone. How is everyone? Right now, if you're listening to this when this is airing, we're at the very we're at the beginning of September. Oh my gosh, it's fall. Are you guys okay? You might be listening to this in summer or spring or whenever you listen. But if you're listening to this on the day, which I know a lot of you do, it's fall. So welcome to fall. Fall is beautiful. So don't worry. We're in this together. You guys know I hate winter. It's sad. I get cold and lonely in life. But fall is beautiful. So I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you so much for the DMs and the comments and the likes and everything. Thank you for staying connected with me. I have so many awesome things coming up this fall. So I will definitely keep you posted. So I have a guest today. You guys know it's so rare for me to have a guest now. I got an email regarding this incredible person and just started reading it. And I was like, yes, yes. Yes. Green flag from spirit. So I'm just so honored that she's here. I'm so excited to have her on. It's interesting. Money and spirit, money and spirituality. People do not like to talk about money. People don't like to talk about money mostly, but especially spiritual connection to money. People feel guilty. They feel there's so many buttons when being a spiritual being. And, you guys are all spiritual seekers. You guys are all intuitives, and it's such a button to talk about money. It's such a button to ask for money, want money. It's like, how is that spiritual? It can get really complicated and really confusing. And I realized that very early in my 20s, I went to massage school. And they had a requirement on business. And they sat us down and was like, people don't want to pay for massages. Like after you give someone a massage, like they're weird about it. And then they're like, they'll pay you next time. And then you get weird asking for it. And then you feel guilty asking for the money. And they're like, you can't do any of that with your own business. It has to be very, very clear. And I was like, really? And then saw it. And then as I unfolded as a medium, and I've been doing that for 17 years, I am so clear on exchange and that money is the way our society exchanges, right? And so when I first started reading, I didn't charge at all. And I asked people to send me something. So they would someone sent me sunflower seeds. And I was like, this is great. Someone sent me a note. This is great. Someone gave me stickers. I'm like, perfect. But there had to be an exchange. And I know so many of you work and so many of you have businesses or starting businesses. This is important. It is a spiritual practice to honor money, to honor abundance, to honor exchange, to believe you're worth it. And that's why when I saw Sarah and her incredible way that she's working as an intuitive business coach, I knew she had to come on so we could talk about this, unpack this, talk about women in money and businesses. Sarah Walton is the host of the Game On Girlfriend podcast. She's an intuitive business coach, an abundance expert, and a speaker. And she's on You Are Not Alone. And this is so special. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here with you. This is so much fun. Are you kidding? It's the best.
I know. I was like, I need to push record because we were talking so much in the beginning. I'm like, I got to record all of this, whatever we're talking about right now.
There's all the behind the scenes stuff. We just love up on each other before we hit record and after we hit record. It's like, we should just always hit record first.
I know, totally. I should intro later, which I do sometimes, but I was like, no, this intro is important to set this up because you have done so much and just spreading your message through your podcast and through everything you do. And it's like, you really, really help people work their business, improve their business, and also work with money, right? And you're an intuitive as well. So working with money and applying that as a spiritual practice. So tell me a little bit about how you started. I read your backstory. It touched me so deeply. That was another reason why I wanted you to come on, and how this started even at a young age, your relationship with money.
Yeah. Money is so interesting, right? We deal with it every single day. It affects every aspect of our life and no one talks about it. And it's like, what? How did this happen?
Taboo.
I know, right? It's really strange because it's so important. But I do this now because of something that happened a long time ago. But this whole journey for me started when I was about 5 years old. And I was watching a PBS fundraiser. And for those of you who don't remember what those are, which makes me sad,
Me too.
it's so terrible, right? We were watching, my mom and I were watching the Nutcracker, right? Like the big, beautiful production ballet of the Nutcracker. And I remember pointing to the screen and turning to my mom and being like, I want to do that. I didn't know what it was, but I was like, that is what I want to do. And I just thought dancing was incredible. I thought it was one of the most beautiful things that someone could do with the human body. But we were very, very poor. So when I say we were very, very poor, what I want you to understand is, there were times we would have half a jar of honey in the pantry and a loaf of bread that my mother had made from scratch.
Wow.
The end. Like no mustard, no ketchup, like the end. Like that was literally what was in there.
You were in Utah, Sarah, right?
Yes, I was raised in that moment happened in Provo, Utah, but I was actually raised in a little town called Sandy. And it's not that little. But what happened was I kind of learned how to dance because we couldn't afford dance lessons really. There were a couple here and there, but it was very sparse. So I learned how to dance by watching MTV. I am so old. Most people don't know what that is, but I learned by watching Janet Jackson throw chairs, and Paula Abdul dance with cartoon cats. It was freaking awesome.
It's the best.
But it's the best.
I'm
the
with
best,
you
right?
so much. Yeah.
Oh my God. So that's really how I learned how to dance. And then when I was 15, it came time to try out for the high school dance team. And this was like something I wanted so bad I could have died dead, right? Like, it's like since I was 5 years old, this is what I want to do, right? And I thought this was the biggest thing someone could do was try out for the high school dance team. So I practice, I do the things, I do the drop downs, my knees are basically broken, right? Like I'm so sore. I've done all this stuff by myself. And when I go to do the tryouts and I freaking made it and I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. And, I was in this really tight knit neighborhood. And so like people were bringing over single roses for me. Like everybody knew I'd made the team. Like it was a big deal.
Wow.
And then I got the letter, and sometimes I cry when I tell the story, sorry, but I got the letter from the dance team talking about how much this was going to cost. Right. And it's like, the unitard, because it was the 90s, right? So the unitard, the Letterman's jacket, the shoes, the costumes, the application fees, the competition fees and all this stuff. And I don't know if you've ever had one of those like out of body experiences where you like watch yourself go through something, but it was kind of like that. I remember holding this letter and like my mouth went dry, my hands were sweaty, and I kind of felt like my stomach had fallen through the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm looking at this and I'm like, what am I going to do? And so, I know you're surprised. I was very frisky. And I got a job at the mall. And for people who don't know what a mall is, just think of Stranger Things. So I got a job at the mall at a little kiosk, right? And I was selling tchotchkes nobody needed. But again, late 80s, early 90s, it was cool. So I'm just selling junk. And it was $3.75 an hour or whatever the heck minimum wage was then. And after a couple of weeks, I finally have enough in my paycheck to pay for the deposit for these costumes, right? So I didn't have a bank account because I was young. So I take this check and I'm like, Mom, I got to get this check cashed. And she goes, okay, well, we'll take it to the grocery store. Because that was back then they had service desks in grocery stores. It was when customer service was important. And so they had these service desks at the grocery store for people who didn't have banks. You go in and get your check cashed. So we're walking into the store and, I have a single mom. I have my younger half brother and me. We're walking into the store and my mom says, Sarah, the strawberries are on sale. Can we get some? Now, if you're listening and you're a therapist, I know your brain just exploded, but that's another podcast episode. So I think of the amount of strawberries and I think of the amount of my costumes and I'm like, okay, we can do both. So I go to get my check cashed. My mom takes my younger brother to go get the strawberries. I now have the check cashed. I have the money in my hand and I go to the express checkout to find my mom and my younger brother and they're not there. And I'm like, where'd they go? And I'm looking up and down all the aisles and I see them in line with a cart full of groceries.
Ugh.
And I'm looking at it and it's like lunch meat for my brother's lunches, right? Bread, his favorite breakfast cereal, some milk, the damn strawberries, right? And I'm sitting there with this money in my hand that I've worked so hard for something I've wanted for as long as I can remember. And I have this moment where I realize I can either pay for my family's food or I can pay for something I've wanted for as long as I can remember, but I can't do both. I cannot do both. And I decided in that moment that I would never be able to take care of my family and myself at the same time. One of them would always have to give.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was the first woman in my family to go to college after high school. I have 65 cousins, so that's saying something.
Oh my God, Sarah.
I know. I know. I went to college. I went to UCLA.
Wait, did you get on dance team eventually?
I did.
Yes.
I'll share. I promise.
Oh,
I know
God.
everyone's always like, what did you do? I'm like, hold on, it's coming. I know. Everybody's always like, woman.
You're like punchline coming. Okay.
I know. There it is. It's coming.
So
It's coming.
65 cousins.
65 cousins. I have 65 cousins.
And none of them went to college.
Woman. No, I was the first woman. Now there's several of us, but I was the first to go to college. And after I graduated from UCLA, I moved to Europe. I worked with children with learning disabilities, and I built houses for the homeless. It's so cool. I can wire electricity in France, but I can't do it here. But anyway, so that's all fun. And when I come back to the States, I decided to move to New York City because if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Because it's the most expensive city on the planet.
Right. And it's like the hardest thing, right? So I make it through. I do all this stuff, right? I have this incredible career. I've like pitched for venture capital for hedge funds. Everyone's like, what is happening to you? I'm like, I don't know, but it's so cool. Right. And I'm learning, like, I feel like kind of like this street cred business school. Like I'm really understanding how money's moving and why it's moving that way. Always the only woman in the room, right? By now, I am married. I have 2 children. And I have this moment where I'm sitting in my beautiful office, right? I'm now in this beautiful corner office. I have a FICA tree in my office. I have a clock ticking, and there's, this beautiful staff, an in team of people supporting our work. And I'm sitting in my office one day and I hear the clock ticking, and it just felt different that day. And then my daughter calls. She's 1.5, whatever, Mommy, missed you, right? And the nanny's like, oh, she hasn't seen you in 3 days because she hadn't. Right.
Those are the worst. Yeah.
I hang up that phone call and I'm like, tick, tick, tick. And I know these are seconds I can't get back. And I'm like, how did this happen? And I'm like always kind of sick, but I'm making a lot of money and my family's taken care of, but I hate my life. And I was like, a 16-year-old girl is running my life. Oh my God. I decided this. I decided I couldn't take care of myself and my family. Oh my God. And that was the day I got up and quit. And I took all of the knowledge I'd gained about how money moves through businesses and why it moves that way. And I made it feminine and I made it mine. And I did the opposite of what my mother did, which was never earn money. And money is what men do. And so it was this whole complicated thing. And I'm sitting there this day as I get up and there's like a Sarah-shaped hole in the wall because I quit. And I come running home and I'm like, oh my God. And I remembered that day in the grocery store, and everyone always asks, what'd you do? And that day I paid for the groceries. And one of my best friend's moms, who was also on the dance team, she heard what had happened and she bought my costumes for me.
She did?
She did. She bought them for me.
How did she hear that? From your friend?
Well,
you told your friend?
My best friend. Yeah.
Oh.
And I know, the sweetest, right? And in 2019, I held a conference in Salt Lake City. I went home and I kind of brought all my worlds together. And I was hosting this 3-day conference where I really talk about confidence and money and power and women. And I got to bring her up on the stage with me. And I said, this woman, you guys know my grocery store story, right? And everyone's like, yeah, we know your story. I'm like, this is the woman who bought my costumes. And I got to thank her publicly for changing my life, but also really recognizing in that moment a couple things. One, that's what women do when we have money. That's what we do for other people when we have access to money. That's what we do with it. And number 2, I would not be where I am without her having done that. There's no way. Everything I gained from being on the team, everything I learned from her, right? Watching my mother who didn't have money and what that was like for her, and then watching someone who had access to money and what that was like for her, and what they did with that and how they moved through life with that and how much that taught me. And that moment to bring her up on the stage and hug her, it is captured on YouTube if anyone wants to go see it, but it meant so much to me because she actually passed away in 2020. And so I got to thank her publicly and make this not just my story, right? Like this happened. There were other people involved in this. This is what can happen sometimes when you run your business. You forget these stories are real. There were people here.
Yeah.
And so to have that experience with her in 2019 was just incredible. Yeah.
That is amazing, and I love that you say, like, "This is what women do with money." They, like, try and help, and
Yes.
that's why there's so much about lifting each other up and knowing that there's enough for everyone, and she did that. Does How does your mom feel about that and that story? Is that hard for her?
It's interesting. My mother's actually quite mentally ill. And
Oh,
so we don't get to have as much
yeah.
contact as we did
Oh,
before.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I said that's a whole other episode. I'm happy to talk about it, but it is a whole other episode. And, it really helped me understand how different her life would have been had she had access to money. And my mother's an extraordinary artist, like drop you dead. Like if you were to see the work she creates and, it didn't get used.
Right, access to money and maybe that type of mental health support or whatever it may have been.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, honestly, she could have been one of those people who, I really believe back to my belief system about money and business too. Like, I don't believe God, creator, universe, divine, Sophia, whatever it is for people listening, right? Everybody has their own, but like really understanding that life force doesn't give us our talents and our expertise so that we can give those away for free and hate our day jobs. Like that's not the deal, right? And if we keep our agreements with the universe by using our talents and our gifts and our hearts and our expertise, we will always be taken care of financially. And I don't mean that in a woo woo, like meditate on it. I mean that in a very concrete, real way that when we keep our agreement with the universe, you can invoice the universe to help support you. And that is intentional and it's focused. And do you need a process by which the universe can make sure you're okay financially? Yeah. But when you start to get stuck in the weeds of it, or like, is it okay to give this away for? It's like, oh my God, that's why you have it. You have that gift so you can be sustained. And that's why I think it is so spiritual to share our gifts and to use them as our way to take care of our children, to take care of our communities, to love up on our families and take care of the communities and congregations around us that need us so much.
Yeah, and when we, like, honor our gifts and let those shine and believe in ourselves, then we're honoring God because God put those gifts within us, and that's so true, and, um, that is truly aligning with spirit, and then and then people say, "But I have my why. I want to help people. I have my why," right? And that happens to me often because I have a very, amazing, wonderful, practice and job, quote unquote, but it's lonely. You talk to dead people all day. You're dealing with the public. It's very, very intense. It's a
Yes.
very unusual job. And that's why my podcast is You Are Not Alone, right? Because that's who keeps me company is spirit. So and I constantly and daily at this point, 17 years in, go back to my why, go back to what I'm doing and go back to who I'm serving. When you have your why and you know it so deep in your heart, your why, but you're not seeing
Mm.
results, what do you say to people? And it's just like, gosh, going for it. I believe in it. I believe in myself. I have my why. I know my gifts. I'm doing it, and it's not catching. And I cannot catch a break, and I cannot make a living. What would you
Yes.
tell women listening and men?
Yeah, yeah. It does tend to happen to women more.
Yes.
Again, because of our relationship to money. It's so interesting, right?
Mhm.
There's so much in that. And it is different for everyone. It's so funny. I just had one of my best friends just spent the weekend with me and she's like, how do you coach people? How do you always know? And I'm like, well, one, I don't. I know what questions to ask. And the other is there's always like it comes down to two or three things. Like really, it's different. It like manifests differently in people, or it looks like it's different in people, but at the root, it's always the same.
Yes.
And what I will say to people who are like, but it's not catching. And I'm like, you haven't caught it yet then. And I don't mean that in a snappy, oh, isn't that fun way? Like it's, oh, what a coachy thing to say. No, no, no. It's we can only earn at the speed of safety. And so when we are not earning, when we know we're actually aligned with what we're here to do, we're keeping our agreement with the universe to use the gifts that were given to us to support others and to help others and to support ourselves financially. And it's not quote unquote working. One, there may be something that scares you about making money. And your nervous system will not allow you to until that is handled. That is just the way that is. That's why, we talk about all the different reasons that, people who win the lottery lose it all. That's part of it. The other is all of our social conditioning. We still, as women, I mean, I believe the number is $55 trillion worth of unpaid invisible labor that we participate in every single year.
Oh
That
my
is
God.
yeah, it's a lot of freaking money that we
Like
don't get paid.
what? Like HSA at school?
Yeah,
Like
pick
what
that.
is it?
Like,
Yeah.
right? Watch that. How many times you've made a bed? How many times you made a doctor's appointment? How many times you've shuffled somebody somewhere? How many times you've cleaned something? How many times you've organized things? Given a donation, donated your time, all of the things that we do consistently that makes the world work. And we're not supposed to get paid for it, quote unquote, right? And so we have to really appreciate the psychological conversation we were born into. And it's not to say there's a big bad, but there is a big bad. It's like, it's called the collective unconscious, right? And the collective unconscious is women shouldn't earn money. And when we do, boy, do we get it.
Oh my God. People get so pissed. Who does she think
Right?
she is? Oh, okay. There
Mhm.
she is.
Right.
You know what's so interesting too about what you're saying? Like this like collective consciousness of like, oh, they got a divorce and she took him to the cleaners. Oh, they got a divorce and she got half. He's fighting her on that. I'm like, that dude was never ever freaking home. She did half the work. Now his work was different than her work. She did the whole life. She did
Yes.
the kids, the social, the this, the that,
Mhm.
the home. You
Mhm.
think he could have done that if she hadn't done this? And maybe she couldn't have done that if he hadn't done that. You know what I mean? It
Right.
was
No, it's
a
true.
team, but we don't value, those parts. And so they're like, "Oh, she took all his money." No, she didn't.
No, she didn't. And in fact, he took advantage of her and was able to grow his career because she was doing what she was doing, but we don't talk about it that way. And that's why I
Absolutely.
say there isn't really a big bad, but there is. It's in our language, it's in the way we discuss things. And, the average housewife is worth $150,000 a year to their family. Literally, that's what it costs to replace her. And so understanding that that's not even dealing with what that makes available to a spouse to be able to grow their career, right? Because so many women I talk to like us, like I only work with women who are trying to build businesses and they're like, how the hell do I do this when I'm doing 85,000 million other things? And it's like, yeah, I know. And one of my favorite memes is a woman who was trying to write a book and she had a male coach who was like, no, you get up in the morning and you write for 4 hours. And then when after work, you write for 4 hours. And she goes, that's when I realized he had a wife.
Mm, damn.
Right? It's like one of my favorites. It's like, oh, let that hit for a second. So we're living with this day in and day out. And that's maybe it's correct. I don't know. That's not for me to say. But when someone comes to me and says, I'm not making money doing what I love, and I'm like, well, hi, welcome to being a woman in our society. And again, not to be like power, F the patriarchy. That's not it. It's like we really want to look at these constructs, really start to understand, and then know that your nervous system is only going to let you earn at the speed of safety. So if you're looking out there that it makes you a bad person to be a mom who makes money, if it makes you a bad person that you charge for what you do, you're not going to do it. I don't care who you are. We are so hardwired to serve and to care and to be heart centered that if we've now attached earning a livable wage to being dishonorable, you're not going to do it. There's
Yeah.
nothing I can tell you. I can give you every business strategy. This is why all those coaches who are like, my 3-step method in 20 minutes, that's if those all worked, everybody would be a billionaire, right? That's not the issue. The issue is not the strategy. Do you have to have one? Yeah, you do. That's like this much of it. You want to talk, it's not even the tip of the iceberg. It's like the air molecule around the iceberg. It's like not even like strategies are a dime a dozen. Freaking ask ChatGPT for your freaking business strategy. It'll spit one out in 30 seconds. The strategy is not the issue. The issue is you don't think it's safe. And that's why I do what I do, right? It's so critical. And, I just want to share a little story. Can help when people are like, women aren't supposed to make money, right? One is the incredible woman, Audrey, who bought my costumes. And the other is, so it's like, I want to say like 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 now. Forgive me. Time goes into some vortex I don't understand. But anyway, a little bit ago, I was giving a talk in Florida to a multi-level marketing team, right? Like I think there were 300 people in the audience. It was awesome. We're having a blast, right? And I don't have the audience, which is rare for, like, I can feel it. That energy. I'm like, where
Yes.
is like, what is going on? And that doesn't happen to me very often. Not to be like, it's my gift. That's what the universe put me to do, is be on a stage and help people transform their fears. So I'm saying like, where are you guys? And I literally say that, and they kind of look at me, and the Ukraine war had just started. And I went, oh my God, are you guys feeling guilty that we're talking about how to increase your sales while there's a war going on? And they kind of all look at each other. I go, raise your hand if you're worried about that make you being a bad person or us talking about money. And every single hand went up.
Mm.
I said, okay, I got it. I said, I get it. I said, I know it's really weird, right? I know. Yeah, it's amazing. People are dropping bombs on other people's children right now. And I'm talking to you about, how much you deserve to have the life you want. And they're like, yes. I was like, okay, let's talk about this for a minute. And I said, do you know how much those bombs cost? Every single one of them. And I said, this war is exactly why we need women in the category of extreme wealth. Because we wouldn't drop bombs on other people's children. We would drop food and water and medicine on other people's children. And it is time for us to play the game at that level. And I was like, oh my God, they stood up and clapped. I didn't expect that. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, but it hit that nerve, of like,
Yeah, and it's like so
oh,
much of what you're saying is in alignment with spirituality and things that spirit says. It's just like,
mhm.
if not you, then who, right? If not you,
Yes,
then who? And like, if you are going to let the world just knock you down and make you like, well, I can't do anything, and you're just contributing to the darkness. You have to contribute to the light, and the way you do that is elevate and honor and shine. And that's so
100%.
cool. And I love that you did that. That's so great.
Yeah. I didn't know that was going to come out of my mouth, by the way. I don't want to act like I was like, what is happening right now? I was totally channeled. I was like,
That's
what the?
great.
But just to like tack on to what you just said, that's so important is as we've decided to have society structured today, we can change that tomorrow. But as it stands today, money is the most powerful tool we have access to. Um, and I think it's time for women to have more access to that because
Mhm,
we've seen what's happened when we don't, and it's not
mhm.
going well.
Yeah.
Right. And we really do have that power and that hopelessness, or I don't know, it's just not working, or I guess I'm just not good enough at this. That is how that darker side wins, is always when there's hopelessness. And so to really tune into where there is hope and love and healing, and that is actually the access to wealth.
I think that, the idea of hope is so important too, because I think, just for everyone, when you've had past failures, you start to get knocked out of your belief in yourself and that it'll happen. And then I
Yes.
think a lot of what happens with people starting a business, scared to start a business, there's just so much fear. It's
Yes.
like I'm so afraid to take that next step because I don't want to get disappointed again.
Oh, brutal. Right.
I don't wanna get down again, and I wanna think of, the universe and attracting and law of attraction, and I'm being supported, but then why have I been fucked over so many times? Or why hasn't these things that I wanted so badly, like, actually happened? And then
Yeah.
people lose that hope.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a very human cycle for us where we think if we have something, right, then we'll finally be happy. And that disappointing cycle, because it doesn't matter even if you're successful and then you lose it all, or if you do get disappointed, or someone's a jerk face to you, or whatever happens in these incredible human experiences that we get to live through on this life. But um, the way to reverse that isn't necessarily so much just the manifesting, though that is absolutely part of it, but is really recognizing what is the feeling you're chasing. And I don't think we always know the answer to that. And it's a little bit different from our whys, right? We all know we're here to help. We know we're here to serve. We know we're here to love people like that. Like we get crystal clear on that real quick. Most women, by the time we're 8, we're like, got it. Yes. But then it's like, how do you want to feel? And so often I ask that question. And they're like, uh, what do you mean? It's like, well, I want everyone around me to be happy. I got it. What do you want to feel? And the feeling of safety, the feeling of ease, the feeling of freedom tend to be at the top of that list consistently. And so, what happens in those moments of, I don't want to be disappointed again, is you don't live in disappointment. And that sounds super easy. That is not easy. That's like, how do you climb Mount Everest a step at a time? Doesn't mean it's easy. It's simple, but it does not mean it's easy. And so, it's really coming home to, listen, if I want to feel free and I want to feel powerful and I want to feel abundant, why would you not feel that way right now? Why are you waiting for anything outside of you to give you that feeling? That is a fallacy. That is that false God idea that comes in through so many, different spiritual texts. It's never outside of you. Ask famous people. They're miserable, right? Not everybody, but a lot of them are, right? Why? Because they chased something outside of themselves and nothing changed. And that is the disappointment. That's the actual disappointment. So in those moments, and it can be anything from, I love to talk to people about a surprise bill. You're like, I did not know that was coming, right? You're like, no. And I'll be like, just feel abundant. They're like, go do bad things to yourself in the dark. I have a bill I can't pay. And I get that. I really do. So in these moments when we're looking at how we want to feel, in the face of an unexpected bill, for example, the feeling might be freedom or power to go, oh my God, I can't wait to pay that. Well, you can tap into that feeling now. And when you're actually tapped into that feeling, that's when the idea of, oh my God, I was supposed to call Bob from accounting. I always say Bob from accounting. I don't know who Bob from accounting is, but you have that idea, like I should call Kevin from the post office, whatever it is, right? Listen to that, because you're in now the space you want to be in. You are in the emotion you want to be in. That's where you act from. We are idiots when we're scared. That is a human physiological fact. Like the brain shuts down. We are so dumb when we're scared. And if we really look back on our own lives, we've made the worst mistakes when we were terrified and we jumped on something because we just didn't want to feel scared.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we can tap into that feeling, that moment of like, wait a second, I generated this bill. I did this. However, we did that, right? We used the electricity, we used the Wi-Fi, we used the cell phone, whatever. I cannot wait to pay this because generating this bill is what has allowed me XYZ. My life is so amazing. And then you have the thought, I'm going to call Bob from accounting, or let me call my friend, or, oh, you know what? Where did I put that bond that I got when I was 5? I totally forgot about that. That's how that comes in. Yeah.
You open it up so you're not just completely closed off with fear, because that's just, yes, exactly.
Yeah. We just can't access our highest and best self when we're scared. There's just no access.
It's so interesting you're saying this because I just watched this story this morning, and I always remember this guy because he's a musician and his name is Mike Posner. And my maiden name was Posner. So it always sticks out. It's spelled the exact same way. So it always just sticks out to me. And I actually really liked his music. And then he disappeared. And so in this, like, I think it was like a minute or 2-minute clip, he was saying like, hey, I'm Mike Posner. You may have remembered me from this song or that song, like kind of one-hit wonders, but songs that people know. And he's like, I had millions of fans and millions of dollars, and I was so miserable. And so he went and he climbed Mount Everest, which is like funny because you said, and then he, I forget what else he did, a couple different spiritual seeking. And then he's like, in a funny turn of events, like, I'm back to music again. And what I'm doing is not different, but how I'm doing it and how I'm feeling about it is. And like, he's all happy and great. And it's such like a mental shift. Just interesting when you're talking about celebrities or, people that have, quote, it all and just are lost,
Yes.
doesn't always equal one or the other. And I love that you said like, you can feel those things now, because something that came up when you asked the question, like, how do you want to feel? It made me think about the word pride and feeling proud and your family being proud of you and yourself. And it's like, well, you've made it pretty far. You can be proud today of what you've done, Yeah, fear is fear is a beast. I literally teach a course on moving through fear. It's tough. It's really, really hard to move through the fear. So
Yeah.
what would you say to someone that's like, I have a business. It's good. I started it. I'm doing it. I have my why. It's great. And this is a two-part question. One is, what would you say to those that are stuck? Like, it's not quite making it, but I don't want to back out. And now I have to keep doing it because I need money and this is just enough. So like, I'm completely stuck. And then my other question to you is, what if you're in your business and things are going well, but you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, but I don't know what I want to do?
That second one's brutal.
Yeah. What if
it
you're
happens.
stuck
Yeah.
in a business you have and you just don't know where to go? And then what if you just don't know? You're like, wow, this business has gone great, but I don't feel right here anymore. I don't want to do this anymore.
Mhm.
I want to do something else. And you're just like, I don't even know what I want to do. Like, even to dream, because the idea is like, just play, dream. What would it look
Yeah.
like? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when they're like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's so good. I mean, the answer to both is kind of the same, and it isn't that, like I said, like, it kinda comes down to the same couple of things that we just one, they're very hard to do alone, right? We always need support, and we need someone outside of our brains, right, to help us see things. I think that's true. So if someone's stuck and it's not quite enough, but they don't wanna stop, what I would say is, there's probably, a way that you could ease up, and make more money at the same time. And that sounds very business coachy of me to say, I know.
No, get unstuck and make money at the same time. That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like a foundational principle of when you hit because you're going to hit this. This is the other thing I always want people to know. Everybody who runs a business has this moment.
Mm.
There's nobody who started, I don't care who it is, who wasn't like, do I have to, is this, okay, it's getting hard, but I can't quit, but I want,
Right.
right? That's normal. And so just to recognize, oh, I'm on this part of the path, right? Just getting to that point where you're like, oh, this is where I am. Oh, great. Oh, good. I'm here now. That's great. It's like a rest stop. You're like, awesome. I made it this far. And recognizing that that's actually a good spot to be in. And what that can show you is there are probably aspects of the business you're not enjoying. And I'm not just talking about what I call tasky tasks, right? There's all the tasky tasks we all hate doing, but then sometimes it's just got to get done because that's like, you got to get up and brush your teeth if you like having teeth.
Yes.
Like you got to do tasky tasks if you like having a business. That's just part of it. But there could be parts of it that you're doing because you think you're supposed to. And they're either no longer bringing in the money they could or should be, or you could outsource them to someone else so you can actually spend more time doing the stuff only you can do. And if that is the moment, what I love to do is to tell people, look for other people for whom that task is a 10, right? So there's some people, a 10 is like, they're so excited, right, to come organize your closet. Like they die dead. They're like, oh my God, I can't wait. Right? Meanwhile, you're like, I don't even know what's in there. I don't care. Right. Because for them, it's a 10. For you, running your business is a 10, right? So if for somebody, really helping you pull back your systems or manage your calendar for you or say no to people more often, that's their 10. Like they freaking love doing that. And that's them keeping their agreement with the universe. You got to go find those people because those people bring that 10 level energy into your business with you. And now you just upgraded. Even if you feel like you're just barely spinning your wheels, you just upgraded everything. And the other thing that happens that I have people do when they're in that moment with their business is think of their business as its own entity. There's so many people, and I know we all talk about that first 100K, but there's a reason we talk about it. And it's because your relationship to yourself and to your gifts and your talents must shift in order for you to hit that milestone. And I don't think everybody talks about like that way, but I do. And I think what can happen is we forget we're not the business. And so in those moments, what I love to teach people to ask themselves is, what does the business need me to do? And a lot of the times the business does not need you to be managing your own calendar. That's not what the business needs. What the business needs is you making really deep, heartfelt relationships with other people. What the business needs is for you to actually write that essay that might turn into a book one day, but you haven't even written the essay yet. It could be that the business needs you to hire someone else to do XYZ. The business needs you to bring in more revenue. And that separation from business and self is so helpful because it increases our ability to feel safe. A business has rules. A business has terms and conditions. A business has refund policies. A business has employees, right? So if you can start to see it that way, that is your CEO shift. That's your moment where you shift from this is getting really hard, but I have to do it to wait a second. How do I run this? And that shift, it seems so subtle, but you start to see things you could not see before. And you do start making more money and it doesn't take as much time and energy and it starts to feel a little bit lighter.
Wow.
So that's that first person. Is that helpful?
Yeah. What does the business need me to do? I love that. That is so,
Yeah.
yes. What is this business asking me to do? Like, how is it evolving? How is it developing? What does it need me to do? That's amazing.
Yeah. Super. It just changes it all, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
And then for most people, so I work with another group of people, and that's these people who've hit over 250. 250 to 5 is another milestone. 5 to a million, 500,000 to a million is a different milestone, right? And they all kind of bump around. And sometimes people hit one at 800,000 too. So interesting. We have such attachments to numbers as humans that we don't even know about. So interesting, right?
No, it's cool. Because you know where they are. It's like
Yeah.
different humps or bumps or not bumps, you know.
But they are. Yeah. Cause they sit there and they're like, what do I do? And it's like, oh, okay, you're at this rest stop, right? And it just sort of takes the fear out of it again, which we know is so important since we earn at the speed of safety. So in those moments, what usually happens when someone's stuck and they're at the higher end and they're like, either I don't want to do this anymore, or I don't know how to do this in a way that works for me, is they
Yeah.
haven't asked themselves what they want. It's kind of similar. They haven't asked what the business wants when it's earlier on. Later on, they haven't asked themselves what they really want. Like, what is it about the business that isn't nurturing you? What is it about your lifestyle that isn't working right now? What is it about the content of the business, whether it's hand cream or event planning? Like, it doesn't matter, right? Like, whatever that is, what's happening in there that it doesn't have your heart anymore? What happened? Where did you think you would be at this time? What feeling were you chasing to be here? And where is it? Where in the business does it exist? Where is it no longer? And in those moments, a lot of the time, I just think that self-trust is so important. As it's one of the reasons I love teaching people how to run businesses, because it's such personal development. And for so many women, we don't trust ourselves, or we were taught not to. Let's be real about that, right? So
Yeah, give uncle a hug. And you're like, I don't want to give uncle a hug. And they're like,
right.
but that's rude. Yeah. Even if uncle wasn't creepy, we're
It
told
doesn't
to.
matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Yeah. Where's that pretty smile?
Yeah.
Right? All that stuff was like, your feelings are annoying me. Could you not have them, please?
Yeah.
Right. We're learned to like just betray those so often that
Mhm.
when we hit this level in business, what's at work is a self-betrayal.
Mm.
So if there is a moment of like, I don't want to do this anymore, what do you not want to do? What's happening really? Is it the feeling, and why? And then there comes a moment where you have to trust yourself enough. You must have healed all the times that you turned your back on yourself, all the times that there was an abandonment from you to you, right? And heal those. And usually just in that healing process, the next step becomes really obvious. It's wild. It's really cool. Yeah. And sometimes there's strategy, or like, let's rearrange this offer so that it looks
Totally.
different, or let's package these differently, and then it becomes light and fun again. Sure. But at the heart of it is, I'm not trusting myself. Something's wrong here. And so it's like, well, what is that?
Did you write a book?
Not yet. You're the third person to ask me this week. So I think I should probably get on that.
Well, you are talking to a medium, Sarah. So
I know.
Get on it. Get on it.
Yeah. No, the last 9 days. Let me be specific. The last 9 days, 3 people have asked me that. So
That's so awesome. This is so great. So let me ask you this. So say someone is like, okay, what do I want? What do I want? And you're just like, it's crickets. Like, what do? You just kind of keep on going. I mean, there's parts to this also, like, and I just knowing if you're in agreement, like sometimes you just need to work. And like you need to put in the work. Like you can't just be like, I'm just going to hang out and wait for $1 million. Like I hate that shit.
That doesn't
You know
work.
what I mean? Even
No.
someone who lives in spirit, it's like, no, you need to show up for what you're doing, But what if you've lost it and you're just like, I literally don't know what I want. I don't know what's fun anymore. Is that just burnout? What is that?
It could be. And it could be because you didn't ask yourself what you wanted earlier, right? So you just kept on the treadmill, right? That can happen. And sometimes, listen, we can't just burn stuff to the ground and then like run. And a lot of the times, by the way, the fear is someone who has made it further along and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. They think that in order to grow from that point on, they have to burn everything to the ground and go back to what it was like for that first 100K. They're like, I'm not fucking going back there. Sorry, I swear. They're like, I'm not going back there. You can't make me. I'm not going to do it. Right? Like, they're like, no. And so they just get stuck. I hate this. I don't want to do it. Right. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What do we hate? What's happening? And listen, if somebody doesn't know what they want, we already know self-abandonment's at work because they haven't been listening long enough that they know. And that's not a blame thing. We are taught and reinforced and trained ad nauseum to not have wants. And so it's very easy for us to just go right back into that. I don't know. I just do all the things and I hate my life. Right. And then you're me in my office. I hate my life, but everybody else is okay. And it's those moments that we actually have such a beautiful opportunity to heal any abandonment that has happened. And if we don't know what we want, we haven't given ourselves an ear. We haven't taken a long walk. We haven't gone out for coffee by ourselves, and for some people it's a weekend away. For other people, it's like, I just give me 20-minute meditation. If we really truly do not know, there's either something we know we need to do, like have a difficult conversation, get divorced, get married, move, change something, and we're ignoring it and we're pretending we don't know what that is. Or we really literally have self-abandoned to the point we do not know. And that's okay. We just want to acknowledge that and go, okay, so what do you need to get back in touch with you? What makes you happy? And that literally, I've had people do everything from sign up for pottery classes because working with their hands just makes them happy again. And they're like, oh, I remember this. And then they'll have a business idea or something else will shift. Or they'll be like, oh my God, my husband did something that really upset me 3 years ago, and I haven't told him, right? I'm like, we kind of know where we need to start. And the second they have that conversation, everything opens up. And so we just know, because burnout is another form of self-abandonment, right? So we just know that when we're hitting that, and I've hit it too, by the way, I don't want to pretend like I got it all handled. We all have these moments where it's like, what's happening? Where am I in this? And the healing that we do is just to spend some time with ourselves and really have that structure and plan in place.
Something that comes up a lot in readings is like people people working in corporate, right?
Mm.
Corporate world. And they're like, but I'm being called to do something else. And now like I just want to quit and whatever. It's like, whoa, spirit will be like, no, 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 don't quit. Because you know what is like the hardest way to get inspiration is when you can't pay your bills and rent, because that becomes everything. So like
Correct.
stick with it, and then maybe on a Saturday, take an hour
Yes.
and do some research or think about groundwork or things like that. It's such a mistake just to abandon. Like, I love that you said that. Like, don't burn it all to the ground. Believe me, if you don't have the paycheck coming and you can't pay your rent or your bills, you're not going to be creating a business.
No, no, no. Read again. We're dumb when we're scared. Like we literally
Yeah.
cannot access the best parts of our brain when we're terrified. And, that's even been proven. Like I study a lot of psychology. I just am so enamored with our human psyche and how it works. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a pretty well understood pyramid, but at the bottom of the pyramid is safety. And you cannot get up anywhere. You cannot move up the pyramid unless safety is handled. And then above safety is belonging. And part of that is our relationships, right? And then there's emotional. And then there's like starting to have inspiration. And then there's self actualization. And what people don't realize is it's not like that's a lifelong pyramid. That's like minute to minute, that pyramid. Like you can be like, I'm amazing. I'm the best. I do all these great things. And then you didn't eat lunch, right? And all of a sudden your physical safety's gone. And you're like, I hate everyone. I'm an idiot. The world's like, we have to remember that we have to honor our psyche and our physiology and taking care of that. And safety is just number one. And I so love that, like, we can look at the science of that. We can look at the spirituality of that. They both lead to the exact same place, which is take really good care of yourself and like nurture that calling by keeping yourself safe, not for 50 years while you pretend to figure it out, right? But like while you're actively working on it, keep yourself safe, because that's how the inspiration will come.
Well, it's like the importance of daily practice. And that comes up in spiritual all the time. Daily practice, daily tending to yourself.
Yeah,
You have to, right? Or else the rest crumbles.
every time.
That's the betrayal if you don't care for yourself, right?
Well said.
This is so amazing. So just I know I hate to say really quick, but what would you tell women that really really want to start a business? What would that want to start a business? They want a jewelry company, they want, they just really want to start a business.
Mm.
And what is the first thing they need to have, or the first few things they need to have to start? Their why, their belief?
It's interesting. They already started because they listened to the want.
Mm,
So
mhm.
they've already started. And I think right after that is faith, and not necessarily religious faith, right? But faith in self, faith in the divine universe, but also faith in the world, right? Which is hard. You're like, whoa, you just got big. But it's like, you have to understand you would not have been given the desire if it wasn't yours. Um, like, I don't want a Gucci bag ever. I couldn't care less, right? But then there's someone else. It's like they dream about it and they say
Mm.
that's because it's theirs to want, right? It's not mine to want, it's theirs. Me, it's first class. but I buy all my clothes on ThreadUp, right? Like we all get to pick what our desires are, right?
What's ThreadUp?
Oh, I love it. You have to check it out. It's a website, secondhand shopping. It's the best. You buy used clothes.
Do they clean everything?
Everything's pristine,
Oh,
clean.
good.
I've worn so many things. People are like, where did you get that? I'm like, hee hee. But like, I'm not, there's enough clothes on the planet.
Oh my God. Have you seen those documentaries about textiles? And
yeah, right.
oh my God, they can dig like 8 feet down on certain beaches and they're still clothes.
They're
Oh my
still
God.
clothes.
Oh my
Right.
God.
So we don't
Oh my
need
God.
more clothes.
No.
So I buy all my clothes used, all of them, everything, formal gowns to like my tops. Don't care. That's because that's my thing to want. Right. But so's first class. Right. And if I can't book a first class ticket, I just don't go because that means I'm not supposed to go on that trip. Right. I know people are like, what? I'm like, that's my thing. But I don't care about cars.
Yep.
I don't care about bags. First class. Right. And we're all allowed to do that. So if someone's listening, they're like, I have this want, that's yours. You're supposed to want that thing. Right. That is yours. And as soon as you agree, you have an agreement with the universe. As soon as you agree, things start happening. So trust that. So if you want me to get logical with you, if there's a name that you love, go register it like now. And if there is this like, oh, like I bought my domain name, sarahwalton.com. I bought that when I was on a technical help desk at a bank in 1999 because someone was like, this web thing's catching on. You might want to get your name. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing. Okay.
Sarah.
So great. I didn't use it for 20 years, right? But I was so glad I did that. Not 20 years, 10, but whatever. So it's like those moments that you let yourself like really enjoy the process of being delighted. And so if you have the desire to start to chase it, have fun, but feel the way you think it's going to make you feel every day. And one of my favorite questions to ask people is, put yourself in the moment of success. So let's go to our jewelry maker, right? Whatever that is for them. It might be that, they do the diamond is forever. Like they have their own slogan and everybody knows it. They get that big. Or they're super, super niche and they live in Italy and only 5 people can afford to buy their jewelry. Like whatever that is, right? Whatever that moment of success is for them, to be in it, to feel that woman, be her, be in that body, become that human. And then ask yourself what she'd tell you to do today. And you'll always get the answer. You'll always get the answer.
And there comes your intuition and your daily practice.
Yep.
Because your mind is quiet, so you can hear her.
Yep.
And honor her and not betray her.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, Sarah.
So fun, right?
Oh my God. This was amazing. This is like one of my favorite episodes. I loved it. I loved it. Thank you so much. So do you still work one-on-one? I know you do talks and corporate and all kinds of things, but do you do coaching? Tell us how people can work with you and everything that you offer.
Oh, you're so kind. Well, yeah. So for those people who are like not in the market for a coach, I have my podcast and I have a YouTube channel. I love supporting that way as much as I can. So we do that. For those looking for the 0 to 100K, that is the Abundance Academy. And that is a year-long program where you rewire your relationship to abundance. You have a nervous system coach, you have a human design coach, and you have a business coach. And we all work together in that community to support people. And right now at this point, more is coming. But right now at this point, if you're above that point, that phase in your business, you can work with me one-on-one. You can find out about that at sarahwalton.com.
If you're above 100.
Yeah. And you're like, I don't know. Or you're still kind of nervous. You want to be in the academy. Some people do that as well. But I usually say once people start hitting that different, your problems change and your needs change. And so that right now is one-on-one as well.
That is amazing. And your website, sarahwalton.com, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And your podcast, Game On Girlfriend. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know everyone's going to love hearing you and this awesome podcast. Do you have Instagram?
I do. It's the Sarah Walton, not because I'm the Sarah Walton, but because my name was taken.
I think I looked at your Instagram, but I just was like, remind me. Okay, that is so awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. To everyone listening, go check out Sarah's website. I hope you guys love this. I know I did. I heard so many things that I needed to hear today. And if you take nothing else away from this podcast today, please know deep in your spirit, deep in your heart, your gut, your intuition, and in your life, you are not alone. Your angels are with you. Your guides are with you. Your beautiful ancestors are with you. Even your higher self is with you. You are not alone. And you have me and you have this community. Make sure you're following me at Spiritual Medium Erica. You guys know my website, ericagabriel.com. Is that it? Yes, it is. Stay tuned. Please share this episode, guys, for anyone you think could use this episode. I love you. God bless you. So much more to come. Take care.